All right, everybody, going to give you a quick review lesson, grade ones. This is your last lesson on fractions and naming them. So congratulations, you guys are at the end. Grade twos, you're just about there. I'm going to give you a walkthrough today on regrouping fractions and how we're going to go about doing that. So in the content section, in our fractions heading, I'm going to show you guys a cool new thing that I added here for fractions. It said on the website resource here that you had to go through Google Chrome to access this, but I just tried it from my phone and I did not use Google Chrome to go through there, but it seemed to work just fine. So I'm going to show you how this works. It's great, especially if you have a touchscreen device. Even if you don't, you could still use your cursor. So this is our interactive fractions resource. So it's embedded right here into the hub. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys just quickly how you can go about doing this. So if we want to create fractions, right, you could choose either the linear model or the pi model. The kids will just call it the circle model or the rectangle model. It's fine. But those are the mathematical terms for them. So let's just say here, if I wanted to build a fraction. So I know that a fraction is part of a whole amount. Okay, so if I wanted to divide my fraction into, let's say, 5 equal parts, and then I hit OK. Now I have fifths that I'm looking at. Okay, down here you have these little stoplight looking icons. Here, those are just the colors, but you can tap on any color that you want, and when you touch the fraction, it'll highlight it. Okay, so we know that when we're naming fractions, we're focused on how many parts are shaded in. Okay, so there is a pen icon here that you could use as well. So I know that if I'm focusing on the parts that are shaded in, I see here that there are 2. Then how many altogether was there? 5. So we know that we call those fifths. If you need a refresher on naming your fractions, I still have all the posters and vocabulary there for you to review. So I have 2 fifths shaded in. Okay. So if I wanted to restart, I hit the restart wheel. It's going to ask, do you want to clear all your work? I would just hit yes. And now I have my blank canvas again. Okay, so again, this is a great tool for if you want to compare fractions. Okay, so if I wanted to, say, look at eighths, and I wanted to know what's bigger, let's go 5/8, or now I'm going to want to go into tenths. Okay, so I get this other fraction here, right? And when I line them up, I know that the part of my whole has not changed in size. But let's say I want to know if 5/8 was bigger than 1, 2, 3 tenths, right? When I line them up here, I can clearly see that 5/8 is a larger fraction than 3 tenths. So this is an awesome one if you're wanting to explore equivalent fractions, right? So for example, if I were to do that to see which fractions are equal, if I put it into, we all love halves. Halves is a huge benchmark for fractions, right? So if I wanted to explore which ones were halves, and let's say I put, let's go 20ths. Okay, so now I got it split up into 20ths, right? And I wanted to know what half of 20 was. I could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? So you can see that I've covered in my 10. The greatest part about this is to explore the equivalent fractions. You can just grab your fraction and put it right over it, and you can see that those line up. Okay, so that's a fun little exploration for the students if they want to just play with this and check to see which fractions are the same size. That's awesome. Okay. Now, grade twos with your lesson. Okay, let's say Mr. Susie had, I'm just going to pick a random number here. I'm going to say that I had like I know I have 24 students, but just for the fun of it, let's say I only had 22 students, right? Now, some of you may not have heard the news already, but you reached your 1,000 dojo points marker, which means Mr. Susi owes you a pizza party, okay? Now, in a slice or a box of pizza, if I were to order us a large, let's say there are 8 slices in the box, okay? Now, a real life problem is Mr. Susi would need to try to figure out, well, how many pizzas now do I need to buy? So if there's 8 slices in a pizza and I have 22 kids, I need to figure that out. So let's get some pizzas made. Okay, let's say that there are 8 slices in them. Okay, so if I were to, let's say, highlight all 8. Okay, now I only have 8 eighths, or I have 1 whole pizza. But I need to get to 22. So I'm going to need to add another pizza. If I have 8 plus 8, and you remember your doubles, you can count how many pieces you have altogether. But I know that 8 plus 8 is 16. So I only have 16. Yikes, what am I going to do? I'm going to need to get another pizza. Okay. 16. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay. Now we're talking business here. Okay. So, if I have 22 eighths, the way I want to regroup that is I don't want to say 22 eighths. It's much easier for me to say that I have 2 wholes and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eighths left over. Okay, so when I'm regrouping, I'm taking my fraction, so my shaded parts that I need, and looking at how many make up the whole to find out how many wholes I have left over and what fraction is left over. So if I were to name this, I would say I have 2 wholes and 6 eighths. Okay, let's try another one here. And I'll walk you through your assignment as well, grade 2s. Okay, so if I wanted to say shade in, let's go with 14 fifths. So I want to shade in 14 fifths. So let's make some fractions here. So I got fifths. How many pieces are in fifths? You just saw it. I have 5. There's 5. Do another one. I shaded all those. How many do I have now? 5 plus 5 is 10, but I don't need 10, I need 14, so I got to get another fifth made. I'm going to shade that in. 11, 12, 13, 14. So the way I would describe this now, 14 fifths is the same as 2 wholes, because the whole amount is shaded in, and 4 fifths remaining. Okay, so here's how many wholes it takes, and then here's the fraction I have left over. Okay, this is now called a mixed fraction. Parents, we don't look at the standard notation of fractions. So like, you know what I mean, how you see 4 fifths written like that. They don't focus on standard notation like numerators and denominators until later on. It never hurts to show them that. But right now, what our focus is their representations of the models. Okay, so can they shade it in? Can they name it? Can they compare larger fractions with smaller fractions? Can they explore some equivalent fractions? And this is just regrouping fractions. So if I have 14 fifths, I want to regroup those into 2 wholes, and then the remaining fraction is 4 fifths. Okay, try one more. And I'm going to try doing it this time without speaking so that you guys can see. So I'm going to say shade in. There we go. Okay. Okay. So if you were to count how many parts are colored in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So I have my 19 tenths shaded in. So I would describe that as how many whole fractions are colored in. That is 1 whole and 9 tenths left over. Okay, so grade 2s in your regrouping fractions assignment, that's all it tells you to do here. So it says regroup the fractional parts into wholes. So here it says shade in 9/4. So I see all my fourths laid out here for you. If you were to shade in 9 of these, and you could use the interactive fractions thing to help you with that, shade in 9/4 to tell me how many holes have you shaded. Okay, so if I were to only have to shade in 1, I would say I only shaded in 1 hole. But I know that 9 is a greater number than 4, so I'm likely going to have more than 1 hole. Then how many fourths or pieces are left? So whatever your remaining fraction is, you have to say that, right? So let's pretend it was, 6 holes and, I don't know, 2/4 left over, right? Like, so you're going to need to comment on the holes and then the fraction that's left over. So you have that for 7/3 as well. And then 3/2. Okay. And that is it for that assignment. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Grade 1s for your fractions secret code. Okay. Here, you guys have some fractions with some words beside them. What you're going to do is you're going to look at the blank one for 1/3, and you're going to need to find the fraction that it shows me 1/3, and you're going to take the word that's beside that and write it in that first blank. You're going to do the same thing for 2/4, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and 4/4. Okay. So that is your fractions assignment for this week. Reminder that you have your vocabulary and posters. If you run into any technological problems, please reach out to Mr. S. I'm here for you and I'll help you out. Okay.